So hi, my name is Gavin Stern. I'm the editor-in-chief here at AAMI, and I'm coming to you this week from the Healthcare Sterile Processing Association Conference, HSPA. Being joined today by Melissa Vargas, who's a SPD. And could you introduce yourself, Melissa?
Hi, my name is Melissa Vargas. I have been working in the sterile processing field for almost 15 years. I have all four of my HSPA certifications, and I'm really excited to be here.
Great. Can you tell me a bit about, what inspired you to join the field? What was kind of your story?
Okay, so this is a bit personal for me. And I'll try not to take up too much time. When I was 5 years old, my mother, who was a single mom, she was actually diagnosed with cancer. Her initial diagnosis, they only gave her 3 months to live. I personally was raised Catholic. So my mother was determined to do whatever she could to be around long enough to see me make my Holy Communion, since that would be the closest that she would ever get to see me get married. So that was something that was really important for her. So despite knowing that she was never going to overcome, her illness, she still went through, oh my goodness, chemo, radiation, countless procedures to extend that time. And, thankfully she was able to. I had my mom for 4 years rather than the initial 3 months that the doctors had given her. So spending so much of my childhood, in healthcare facilities, going through what I went through with my mom, I knew at a very early age that I wanted to be in healthcare. I just really wasn't sure where I fit in. I'm a very empathetic person. So I knew things like nursing, I didn't really think was a good fit for me. So when I first got my foot in the door in healthcare, I actually started in security. I did security for a year. I worked in the lobby. I greeted people at the front desk. And one day a gentleman who I saw every day approached me and he had asked me, he said, you're young. What are you going to do with your life? And I really didn't know. I said, I know I want to help people, but I'm not too sure where I fit in. So he said, well, have you ever heard of sterile processing? And I said, no. And he said, okay, well, Google it and let me know what you think.
Yeah.
So I did, and the information that I had learned just from Google and various websites, it really drew me to the profession. As a technician, you're in decontamination, you're assembling these trays. It is literally your work that is going inside of another person's body to improve their quality of life. So to me, I felt that it was really perfect for me because I still could get that intimacy that I craved when it comes to helping people and having a positive impact on, patient outcomes and, for their families, and still kind of protect my heart, and, be the Oz behind the curtain. So that's really what inspired me to get into sterile processing. Once I got into the field, I just fell madly in love. SPD is my first true love. And I ran with it. I just was so inspired and I was so passionate about it that I wanted to get into leadership. I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I really wanted to ignite that same passion that I had in other people. Because I feel like with what we do and how critical it is, it's so important to have that passion fueling you in your day to day. So you don't lose sight of the big picture of what you're doing.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about your day-to-day experience. It's a field, like you said, where I've often heard sterile processing as being a field where you're doing such important things, but it's often the sort of field where patients may not know that it is a field until something goes wrong, right? But you're preventing a lot of that through good work. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it is an interesting dynamic. A lot of times in sterile processing, you really don't hear feedback unless something goes wrong. Yeah. So it is very important internally in your department that you do the best that you can to make sure you support your staff, that they have the tools that they need to perform to meet your expectations and the expectations of the organization, as well as, the patients and their families, and to just try to continue to reinforce, really why they're here and how critical their role is. One thing that we always hear in healthcare is everything that we do is for the patient, right? When really, if you take a step back and you think about it, it's so much bigger than that. And I say that from personal experience, especially being so young, and being that person who is in those surgical waiting rooms and, waiting to hear outcomes of, how my mother's procedure went, how her diagnosis was looking, and kind of just where we were with her health. So really, I think that it's important to take that into consideration, that it's not just the patient. For every one patient that you are touching, it's really their entire family, everyone that loves them. Every patient is somebody. So I think when we look at that, take a step back and look at it, that big picture, I think it's something that most people, if not everyone, can really relate to. I'm sure everyone knows someone who has had a procedure, whether it be, an invasive surgery or just an endoscopic procedure. I think it really hits home for people, and it kind of helps keep them motivated and keeps them aligned with their purpose.
Yeah. So what are some of the big topics or issues that you've seen coming up the past few years in the field?
So one thing that I personally think is an opportunity for improvement is the relationship between sterile processing, the operating room, and infection prevention. Not only do we all need to work together, but we should all be a resource for each other. And we can't really accomplish that if the only time we pull together as a team is, survey time. So I think it's really important to continue to nurture and reinforce those relationships every day as part of our daily workflow. So this way we can be a resource for each other and truly, support and serve each other department and be a team.
What are there certain ways that you've been able to do that as a manager to try to bridge that gap a bit? Or
well, I like to think that I have a pretty friendly personality. I try to be a little charismatic. I feel like when you get FaceTime in the OR, not just when things go wrong, because then you become the face of doom and gloom. And when they see you, they think, oh my God, something terrible happened. But really to reinforce those relationships, it's very important to have, a close knit relationship between your SPD leadership, your infection prevention leadership, and your OR leadership, not just to present a united front, but so this way we each understand that, we are a resource. We can go to each other. We can bounce ideas off of each other. Yeah. So this way it's more comprehensive rather than, kind of fragmented.
What are some tips that you'd have for young SPDs, for those who are maybe just entering the field or even people thinking of entering the field?
So my best advice would be to just keep going. I know a lot of people, they get into the field and they just see the technician aspect of it, when really if it's something that you find is your passion, you need to keep going, because it goes so far. As I mentioned, I started out in security, and then I became a technician, and I worked my way up from, technician to supervisor, assistant manager, and I'm still continuing to grow. I'm still investing in my knowledge and my growth. It is something that should be a continued effort. Never give up. SPD is a science of its own, so it's ever changing, just like any other science and, the medical field as a whole. So to continue to invest in your education. And if you can get a mentor. They will be your best friend. And that's not just someone who has the credentials on paper. You need to find someone who has that genuine passion for the field. And if you can't find that person, be your own person. Never give up. Continue to tap into your resources. HSPA, go on the website. There's so many tools and resources and people that will bend over backwards to help you. And they love to see, that passion in some new and up and coming CRCSTs. So it's something I personally enjoyed. I've mentored quite a few people throughout my career. And I know that individuals like myself, we love it. So, reach out, definitely don't be shy about it, and never give up, keep pushing, and knowledge is power. Education is everything.
Well, it's such a pleasure speaking with you. It's been, one of the main themes that's come out in the conference and the keynotes is trying to ensure that sterile processing as a profession has a voice within the hospital system, that it's able to advocate for the things that are important and ultimately for patient safety. So the field's really fortunate to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.